is real race talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to everybody's favorite Monday night show, the original, the one that started it all. This is indeed the Revved Up Sports Show from Texas. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee right here, the Iceman, Rodney Rodriguez right there.
Hey, friends, how we doing?
Tried to time it a little better with the intro this time.
Monday, it's all right. Actually, the wrong intro that I was looking for, but that's okay. We'll get that figured out. Dude, it's hot as fuck.
It is incredibly hot outside.
Oh my God! It.
I cooked. I really did cook there on the grate there at Texana. It was pretty rough. So
it gets really frustrating at this point where when you want to. So I had to. So my everything I had to do today. Had to go out. I had to do some stuff in the morning. Then I had to get back home. Then I had to go pick up groceries. And dude, I was sweating my ass off by the time that I got back. And it's like all I'm doing is trying to get bags out of the car. That's horrible. That's horrible. I hate that.
You had swamp ass from grocery shopping?
Yeah, I did.
Golly,
no, I didn't
rough.
even shop. All I had to do was go get it.
Oh, just pick it up. Okay.
I just picked it up. They loaded it, but I had to get it in the house, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, it's horrible. And hey, whatever. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So they say.
That's what they're saying. Of course, the Farmer's Almanac. If you read the the procrastinated
it's on my desk.
That Farmer's Almanac, it's supposed to get cold. But problem is we got to wait another 3 to 6 months for it to get here.
Mm-hmm. Hey, good show tonight, guys. Stevie Whitaker III checking in here in about just over 10 minutes. Justin Zimmerman, big winner this weekend in the non-wing sprints. And then Shelby Williams is going to check in as well. So we've got plenty to talk about as we dive in right here on Russ. It is hashtag Real Race Talk. Bobby, I did want to ask, I posted this the other day because speaking of weather, one thing that I get kind of worried about, I don't know if it's really concern or anything at this point, is when we start talking about, because I know like at my house, they're telling me you can't water the yard one time a week or whatever. For dirt tracks with water. I mean, do we have a problem here? Is this something? I saw one of the tracks up north where I guess they primarily pump out of a tank that's right next to the track. I mean, is this something we need to worry about? Is this going to be a problem here at some point?
I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. Most of the tracks have a tank very near them. I don't know about Texana. Texana's got a tank behind there, but I don't think that's the Texana tank. I know that they use a lot of the water trucks there from Magnum, obviously, from Magnum Services. So those, I don't know where they get the water for those, but obviously the Cotton Bowl one is there's a tank right there towards the end of the pits. And I'm like you. I mean, if the tank is dry, I don't know where Cotton Bowl's going to get any water because there's not anything for a hot minute around there. So I don't know how they're going to end up getting water. So
yeah, and I see right there was I guess Grayson County. I'm not sure where it was, but that's one thing that does kind of worry me when I start looking at this stuff. And it's like when you have a racetrack that is reliant on water and you have all of this stuff that's going on, I don't see any relief. And I am impressed that I see a lot of racetracks that start adjusting start times and all of that, because I think that's so important. And as much as we want to have people coming to the racetrack, this is where we go back to the streaming thing. It's like, hell, personally, I mean, I think I may stay at home.
A little cooler.
And that's the one thing that you have to look at right there to where it does. I mean, it gets to be one of those situations to where you have to start worrying about, is that going to be a factor? Because it'd be one thing. It'd be one thing if we had some hope in the future that things are going to cool off. But dude, I know in Austin, I mean, my local TV stations are in Austin, and they're telling me Friday 109.
Yeah.
What in the fuck is that?
That's rough. I mean, it's not any better for Saturday. I think 107 on Saturday, I think, is what it's supposed to be.
I know.
So it's going out to the racetrack. I mean, it's diehards, right? But you notice that the people are not getting there as early as they once were. Maybe Waco's a little different. Waco's a little different, but
some bitches they show up. It's like gates. We're pushing the gates to 6:30 instead of 6, and they're there at 5:30.
Still there at 5:45. Yeah,
hey,
5:30.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
But I noticed a lot of people there at Texana over the weekend. They didn't show up till right at 7. I mean, they don't give a damn about packing the track. They don't give a damn about the hot laps and none of that stuff. They only give a damn about watching the racing, which was done, at a fairly consistent hour, despite a couple of hiccups there from the trucks. But overall, trucks put on a well of a show, especially there at the finish. Did you get to see the end of that?
No, I didn't. And I do want to ask you about that because that's one of the things. I know that we've talked to those guys here on the show before, and we need to get them back on here pretty quick to do some more discussion. But it really seems like, I know when they started that it was a struggle there because they were kind of trying to dig in and try to get some of the asphalt trucks and do all this other shit that whatever. But it really does seem like they have hit on something right now. It's a very distinct thing. And I mean, I think that's something in racing to me that's super important, where you do something that's different nobody else is doing. I mean, we see all the stock cars. We see, limited modifieds and modifieds and on pavement, all the fucking stock classes look alike. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing something pretty different, and I think they've hit on something here to where it's something really cool that they're doing with the Texas Dirt Truck Series.
Well, it's good. The only observation I have is there's a big difference between the haves and have-nots in that series. The top half guys were really great, really competitive. You had one or two that hit the setup right, like Tommy, and was just gone, right?
Yeah.
Then you had 6 or 7 trucks all right together, all running the same speed, even up to probably 10th. You get a little further back, some of them were considerably off the pace. I'm talking 3-4 laps down within like halfway kind of deal.
Okay.
So there's kind of a discrepancy there between the have and have-nots. But, I mean, hell, they brought the trucks. 20 pre-registered and 18 showed up. So they got some kind of formula that's working right, or else they wouldn't get 20 cars.
Yeah, no.
Or 20 trucks.
No doubt. And I do want to touch on that because that's one thing. So Saturday I was home. And I was sitting there on Race On, just kind of checking everything out, and I made a list. And for folks that ask about, how's racing in Texas, this is a list, and I'm probably missing a track or two here, but here we go, because I have to read it because there were so many. So Saturday night, I watched y'all, Texana.
Yeah.
I watched 37. I watched 105, Devil's Bowl, Kennedale, 105, Grayson County, Arklatex, Super B, and Rocket.
Well, you watched Rocket for a little bit till the lights went out.
Oh man!
God, that sucked.
Oh man!
I'd be so pissed if I was to stare over there.
That really sucks right there that happened to them. And I saw some people, jumping on there. It's like, so what happens here? It's like some things are out of your control. I mean, when you get into when they talk about acts of God. It's like you can't control what happens with all of that, and yeah, that sucks. I mean, that really sucks for them because it looked like they were locked and loaded and jammed and ready to go, and damn, just didn't work out for them, man.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, they had a bunch of rainouts along with our buddy KR up there, but man, now that they got their program rocking and rolling up at Rocket, I mean, that's a good solid swift kick in the nuts with that. I mean, and that for everybody, the fans, the track, the teams that traveled. I mean. There were some teams with those junior limiteds that came from a hot minute away to race at Rocket, and then just literally just get kicked in the nuts, and boom, there goes your racing program for the night.
And that's one of those things to where you can't fault the racetrack, you can't fault anyone involved right there because you just can't control that stuff. And I mean, I remember being a kid and we'd sit at Longhorn or Speedorama, whatever you want to call it. We'd go to San Antonio and the lights would just shut off, and it's like, okay, what do you do now? And I got to tell you,
send Greg Davidson up a telephone pole. That's how they solved it. That's how they solved it on TIDA nights.
Well, and the bad thing is, I mean, because you get into those things, and it gets so hard. It gets so hard to and a lot of that. I mean, I don't know what the problem is there. We'd have to talk to Kevin S. to figure out exactly what happened there. I mean, that may be something that comes into the heat. I mean, it's you got to think about this. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and it's like you think about these racetracks. I know the last time I was up with Owen there at the race ranch, we were talking about different things happening in the press box, and it's like, this stuff is just sitting out here melting during the week. The heat does not lit up. I mean, that's just another obstacle here that these folks have to get around because I mean, you can't subsidize that. You can't deal with that. I mean, there's no way to beat the heat, and these racetracks just sitting out, just sitting out there? I mean, how do you deal with that? I mean, like for the track there, having to deal with the tank and all this other stuff. And I seriously am concerned. I seriously am concerned what I was talking about earlier, because at some point, I think that may be an issue to where it's like, you can't be sitting over here with all this water. People are going to need this water, and I'm not making light of that because I totally get that. But people need light. People need water. People need all that shit. And I just think that at some point, municipalities...
The racetrack will be the first one to suffer on something like that. It always, the racetrack is always the first thing.
Of course it is. And that's a whole thing right there. It's like...
Wait till a Karen can't water her grass and she finds out that they dump 30,000 gallons of water on a racetrack to get it ready for a race night. She's going to lose her shit.
That's the whole thing. You guys, you racetrack promoters, don't be telling people how many gallons of water you put on your racetrack, because that's not something that the HOA, or like he said, the Karens... That's not something they need to know, because they're going to see that shit and they're going to shut your ass down. So just say, we've been working hard.
Yeah. Don't say how many gallons you put, because we know. I mean, the racing people that are aware will be aware of how many. The problem is what it comes down to. They usually only talk about how many gallons of water they put on it when people bitch about it being too dry. Well, we put 30,000 gallons on. We put 40,000 gallons on. Well, I mean, what more can we do, It's like that. That's when they start talking about how many gallons they put on. People bitched about it being too dry. Wake up, people. It's 110 degrees. This shit's going to get dry. It's dirt.
Well,
that's what's going to happen.
And this is where I go back to, this is where I applaud the folks that are doing this work, because like I've always said, the best dirt track operator is a good farmer. And that's really what you have to do. And I was actually you should have heard me the other day. So somebody was asking me, it's like, so what's it all about with a dirt track? You just put some water on it and do whatever. I'm like, no. You got to saturate this thing. You got to get in there, and you got to do it during the week. And I'm not helping the matter any, because I'm saying you got to start like on Monday. If you're racing on Saturday, you start on Monday and you start doing whatever. But it really is a science. But I do have to say, because watching all those races that I'm talking about, that whole fucking list of shit that I was reading off right there, I didn't see a whole lot of racetracks right there that were dusty and doing, and they're going to rut up and all this stuff. Quite frankly, I hope they rut up. I mean, to me, that makes the racing better. Like watching the other day, watching the King of the Hill when everything was all glossy and all that. I'm sure it was rough and whatever, but to me that looked like pavement. But when you get out there and this shit's diving in there and the right front's digging in and doing all this, to me that's better racing. I mean, you want slick and smooth, go race on the pavement.
Well, it's called character, is what a lot of the guys in Victory Lane will describe it as character.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it adds, when you're able to come through and add different lines and sometimes force the drivers to take different lines. You don't want them catfishing the whole time, but you don't want them up against the wall all the time. You want them in the middle because they want to slice and dice and all that. That's why people claim dirt track racing is so fun. You get somebody on the top lane, get somebody in the low lane, get somebody in the middle lane. Hell, they went 4 wide in the trucks off of turn 2, and hell, look what happened.
I do want to tell you one thing that I noticed that I've noticed in pavement racing is that even on the NASCAR thing, and we saw it yesterday, and we don't have to sit in here, but I do want to say, how about that Texan winning again today, bitches? How about that? The one thing I do want to say is, when you see all this stuff happening on the NASCAR series and some of these races, these guys trying to do sliders and do all these different things, dirt track effect, man. It's like when folks want to frown on NASCAR, it's like, man, fuck them and all this other stuff. It's like they're racing like we do around on the dirt tracks. I mean, who would have ever thought we'd have said that like us?
I don't know. Well, you're on like F-bomb number 7 or 8 right now.
That's okay. We can do whatever we want.
I know we can. We're not FCC regulated.
I'll calm down.
I'm not telling you to calm down. I'm just noticing it today.
It's this Gary Ballou cap that I have on my head.
It's got to be.
It's a Gary Ballou cap.
He's the only one that's dropped more F-bombs on this show than you have.
Gary Ballou. That's the best thing at Snowball. Like I said, I posted on Facebook a while back. When I ran into him during the rain delay, and he's like, "Hey, effing Rodney, come over here." I'm like, "Hey, how about that?" He called me effing Rodney. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. But diving in, we're going to have a whole lot of fun on this show, talking to some really cool folks. And I got to tell you, one of the first guests that we're going to talk to,
a very highly requested guest,
dude, and that's a whole thing because you can message the show on Facebook, and that's the best place that you're going to be able to get a hold of us, because that's the one place that we can both see. I mean, a lot of different things. It's like, okay, he may get the message, I may get the message. We don't communicate. We just kind of show up here and do this show. But this kid right here has been, it has been. I mean, it's like the request line has been open, and everybody's wanting, and you would think it's like, okay, people want to hear from like this great veteran. It's like one of the most established whatever.
Established superstars.
But this one right here, many requests, and he jumps on over there from Corpus Christi. I like to call him Tres, the third. Yeah, how about that? Corpus works out well.
Yeah.
To the hotline we go. Rogers Dab Chevrolet. It is my man, Stevie Whitaker the third. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
So Stevie, I'll just say the third, because we've talked to your dad so many times on this show. So for you, how exciting is it for you that so many people have wanted you to be on this show and want to hear what you have to talk about with your racing?
I like. Hold it.
That's all right.
So I like that people actually like to hear me talk and like to see that I do good in race cars and all that.
It's a good thing.
It's good. So I mean, I talked to you down in Corpus a couple of weeks ago about coming on the show. You looked a little nervous then. Are you nervous now? I mean, now that the time is here, I mean, did you have to have a couple of root beers to calm yourself down a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit.
That's all good. It's all good. So Stevie, talk about. Let's talk about your racing. So obviously, your family. How long you been at this, and how did you get to this point? The different things that you've done up to now.
Yeah. So I started go-karts around 2015. Then my dad told me that I was that go-karts create a bad habit and all that. So I got into my pure stock in 2021. And then I raced a couple of races in sport mods in 22, and then now I'm in E-mods in 23.
Nice. I love it.
So you have limited experience in all three of those cars. Which one's your favorite? Because I mean, you were winning races and stuff in your pure stock, and now of course you're winning races in an E-mod too. Did you have a favorite? I mean, racing just the couple that you did so far in your career?
I don't really have a favorite, but I like the limited more because it's a lot faster and a lot easier to drive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how about for you? Because I know that you've jumped around there, Stephen, between some of the pure stock stuff and with the limited. How much of a difference is that for you? And is it easy for you to make the change between the two different divisions?
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit for me. It's just that I got to get used to the different handling and the speed and all that. Mm-hmm. But now that I've been driving 3 classes, it's pretty easy.
That's awesome.
So the one thing we forgot to tell everybody how old you actually are, because we had somebody check in and said, how old are you? So before we go on any further, tell everybody how old you are and how old you were when you got started.
So I'm 12 years old, and I started around 5 or 6.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy. What were you doing at 12, Rodney? You weren't calling into award-winning radio shows, that's for sure.
No. But... And I got to tell you there, number 3, people gave me a lot of hell because when I raced last year at Texana, you blew around me. And they were like, you just got passed by a youngster right there. Your thoughts on racing against a bunch of old dudes, man? It doesn't seem to faze you at all.
Yeah, I just try to race everybody just clean and efficiently.
Yeah.
And just try to make everybody, leave happily at the end of the day, not torn up.
Absolutely.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, no shit.
So talk about racing with your dad. Obviously, your grandpa have been into racing too. I mean, what's it like? Is your dad more of like a cheerleader guy? Is he like a coach? Is he a crew chief? Is he all of those into one? Talk about the relationship you have with your dad racing these cars now.
Yeah, he's kind of like a coach and a crew chief. He helps me around a lot, tell me what line's good and what line's not. Then he'll make sure he'll tell me to work on my own stuff, but like doing the body and all that, checking nuts and bolts, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, my man, because is that one thing that I think it's super important for kids, for young drivers. You actually have to get out there and you have to work on this on these things, and I think that pays a lot of really good things when you actually have to put your hands on the race car and actually have to be a part of working on them.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just that way I already know, like what to do when I get older, like how to change like how to like straighten out the body panels, change the tire, dismount a tire.
There's people 10 times your age that doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So do you have a favorite track? I mean, obviously you spent most of your time down at the race ranch, but you came and raced at Edna a little bit last year, and some other places. I mean, I guess just because Corpus is home, I'm assuming that's going to be your favorite racetrack?
No, I kind of I like Pleasanton, I-37, because it's just unique that it doesn't have like a backstretch wall and all that.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, it's a very good thing. That's one less thing to hit. That's for sure. So, how special for you? I know I got to talk to you at the race ranch last time out. You were in Victory Lane. You had the little one there in your arms. How great is it to just do this with your family? Just get out there and have a good time. I know for your dad, I mean that's what it's all about. But how great to be carrying on the great tradition that you guys have had.
I like it. I like winning races and all that, of course, and
Sure.
and I just like carrying on the tradition. That way, everybody knows that it's us still winning.
That's right.
That's right. That's a good answer right there.
I love that.
That's something you could put on like either the back of your car, like still winning or whatever, or put it on a back. Get Owen to make you a banner to put it on the shop. So what's your plan? What do you do outside the race car? Do you have any other hobbies that you're into? You play baseball, soccer, football, anything else, or is it just one mind of all wanting to do is just race?
Yeah, I started school Thursday, going to 7th grade, and that's when my first day of football practice is. So, and then I like to play, a little bit of league baseball at Oil Belt, and some basketball. So like a little youth basketball league. That's what I play. Oh, so those are my little 3 favorite hobbies.
Well, that's super cool because I know your man Cameron Starry down there. I've tried to get him on Mondays, and he always has something going on. He's got sports and all that. So your thoughts moving forward? What all are you going to do the rest of the year? I mean, more limited, more pure stock. I mean, what's going to happen here as we get towards the end?
I'll probably just race the E-Mod the rest of the year, and I hope that maybe we can get the pure stock out for the big show if we can. And I would really like to race the limited, but I don't think it's going to happen because I tear up too much stuff in that class.
Calling them out.
Ooh.
I love it.
Laying the gauntlet down at 12. That's awesome.
Oh, man, I love it.
So talk about racing against your brother. I know you have a very limited experience racing against your brother. Have you guys got to race together in the pure stocks, or is your dad letting you run the limited and then he's going to let you come race the pure stock against your brother?
So we raced a little bit earlier this year but I would like to race whenever he gets a lot faster and we can actually have a good race and battle. Yeah, and I'm probably going to still race the E-Mod the rest of the year.
Oh man, that's awesome. So lastly, my friend, what do you want to tell all the folks that have been wanting to hear from you? And second question, I guess, do I get to see you this weekend at the race ranch? Talk to your folks and thank the people that make this happen for you. And let me know if I get to see you this weekend.
Yes, sir. I will be there next weekend. And thank you to everybody that wants to hear from me. I appreciate it.
I love it.
Superstar in the making right there.
You damn right. You damn right. Thank you, my friend, for being on the show. We appreciate you jumping on here, and good luck this weekend. Keep doing it, brother, and thank you. Thank you once again.
Make sure you tell your mom that we were nice to you.
That's right. Exactly.
Because that's what she was worried about when I was talking to you down at the race ranch a couple of weeks ago. She was like, "Don't be mean to my boy." So we tell her we were very nice to you so that she doesn't come yell at us next time she sees us at the race ranch.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care. Thank you.
Goodbye.
You bet. There he goes. Cool kid.
Kid's got a future.
You know, when I reached out to Stevie, he's like, I think we can make it happen. Just call me. And you know, the good thing is what I was really impressed about is when I was talking to Stevie, to his dad, he never asked the question, because I know a lot of folks when I reach out trying to schedule people to be on this show, it's like, so what are we going to talk about? And that was never the question.
Yeah.
So he knew nothing about what was coming right there, and boom. Just like, you know, rapid fire, man. He was ready to go. I love that.
That's what I told him. I said, we're not going to ask you a question that you're not going to know the answer to, or that you won't have an answer for, really. So that's what we tell some of the young kids. We saw Caden Petty was actually signing on, listening to this stuff too. She did great when she was on. Same thing. No predetermined questions, no answer list or anything like that. So it's great to see these younger kids learn. And it's something that Joe preaches with the Junior Limiteds, is that you have to have – there's so many podcasts out there now and a couple of shows like ours. You have to have media relations.
There's only one show like ours.
Well, there's only one show like
ours.
Let's
be honest.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I
tried to give credit to –
there's only one best.
There's only one.
No offense to y'all, but there really is only one best.
But you know, there's so many shows like ours that you get a chance to learn your media stuff. Because if you're going to be successful, you got to learn how to talk to people, whether that be to fans, to sponsors, to track officials, to announcers, to radio hosts. They've got to learn how to do that, and I think it's something that before it didn't matter. Now these kids are starting so young; they need to learn it younger, and it's paying off for a lot of these younger kids that have now turned. We've had some on the show as they've grown over the course of the show. Now they're very successful young racers in college and everything else. So there's a path to make this stuff work.
It really is a huge part of what you do. I mean, you see a lot of drivers that I've watched it for so many different times, and people even have put me in that category to where you get a driver that may not be, maybe the best. I mean, maybe not the next Kyle Larson or whatever it is, but man, they sure are a good speaker. They sure know how to talk to their sponsors and know how to promote stuff and just continue to push that out. And I mean, it's really important now. And one of the things that's always impressed me about your man Brad Keselowski is when he sits there and he talks to, let's say it's Jamie Little, asking him something, and she's like, how's the car? And he's like, well, Jamie, let me tell you. And it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, it's one of those things to where it's a very personal conversation. And when you get kids like that, I mean, what Tres was just doing right there, hey there. He's just having a conversation, and I think that's super important because you can't be a programmed robot, and a lot of these, that's been the problem that we've seen in the past where folks kind of frown on some of the racers or whatever. That's what they seem like. Be yourself, but at the same time, don't be Noah Gragson or one of these guys. Just kind of speak intelligently, and I think that's very important, especially in sponsor relations and everything that we have these days.
Caden Honeycutt, probably the best example we have. Now, granted, he's gone to PR school and race development and stuff like that. So he's had the training, which is, there's nothing wrong.
Well, he learned a lot of that here.
Nothing wrong with taking the training, but
he
learned from when he first started on here until today. When you listen to him in his Truck Series interviews, leaps and bounds different. But he's another one. He started here. We started with the hard-hitting questions when he was younger, and now that he's moving up the ladder, he hadn't forgot about us. By no means. No, he hadn't forgot about us. But he's a prime example of why you've got to learn this PR side of it. You got to learn, and PR, it doesn't necessarily include just marketing and stuff like that. You got to learn how to talk to people, sponsors, teammates, track officials, radio shows, announcers, all that stuff, because every time, ask Noah Gragson, every time you do something, somebody's watching.
Well, and I think a big part of that for the youngsters is with that conversation thing that we're talking about. A big part of that is what happens when the adversity sets in, because you see a lot of folks where something bad happens and they go off the rails and they do something and they piss people off, and it can be a huge downfall if you do it the wrong way. I mean, that's where You have to have the right people in place that can kind of bring you back into the right mindset, the right perspective that's going to be able to guide you in the right direction. Because seriously, one wrong word, one wrong, in Noah Gragson's case, one wrong one wrong whatever, and it's not a matter of what you're. Are you right or wrong? One stupid move. Even Larson.
Yeah.
One move like that can doom you. And I think it's so important with the youngsters these days, that to get them on the right path, teach them the right way, and let them learn the business. Because that's what this shit is. I don't care what level you're at. You're racing at the race ranch. You're racing at, Kennedale, whatever it is. This is a business, guys. And you're out there selling yourself and you're promoting your sport. And you got to do the best that you can to continue to put yourself and the sport in front of people.
Yeah, it's definitely a business because very rarely is somebody just going to give you money to sponsor your car to just give you money. They want an exchange for it, right? Generally, that's why they put the logo on the car, right? When they give you money, you put a sticker logo on your car because it's an exchange of something. Generally, it's so that they get more exposure because they're teaming up with you, or teaming up with your team, or whatever the case may be. So that it becomes super important. While I don't think on another level, I don't think this is going to necessarily completely kill Noah Gragson's career. It's definitely just going to put it on a pause for about a year and a half.
Yeah. So if you're just checking in and you missed the NASCAR race today, Texans, our man Chris Buescher, another win. And super good for him, super good for RFK. And, man, I love the push that he's on right now because, hey, what a better time. What a better time to get hot right now.
Right, 3 races to go before the next Australian invasion coming up this weekend at Indy. This is like the 4th race. This is the 4th Monday race this year. It's crazy to think that the Cup Series has it. And I want to say I heard on Sirius XM that of the 23 races or something like that, 17 or 18 have been affected by weather in some ways, whether it be a rain delay, a lightning delay, or an actual just like washout completely.
I'm telling you, that's why they need to come back here because we need that. We like we were talking about earlier, and we can explore that once again to where I seriously am concerned at this point if we don't get in a situation because we are not. I saw something. It's been like 3 months. 3 months since here in the Austin area, since we have had measurable rainfall. I think it's been 30 days since we have had at least an inch of rain. And as we talked about last week, sometimes an inch is not important. Right now, an inch is very important, and we need that. And it seriously does concern me if at some point this is not going to affect our racetracks to where it's like, you guys can't be spraying all this water out here because we're in a drought. We're in a drought, and there's wildfires up in here everywhere. And I think that's something else that we need to be very cognizant about is, we're at these tracks. Watch what you're doing. We don't need to burn shit down. We can burn stuff down, with the action on the track, but we don't need to burn stuff down with fire. Man, it's scary. We need rain.
And it ain't coming anytime soon.
I know.
Where's all those people that were like, are you a winter guy or are you a summer guy? Because you remember the people that were like, when Snowvid hit that one year, but like, I can't wait for summertime. It's too cold. And then summertime hit and they're like, I wish it was icy again.
Dude,
right?
I say that all the time because I know around here when it gets cold and people are like, oh my God, it's so cold and all this shit. I'm like, okay. When it gets to be about 102,
102,
hit me up then.
The preheat at 102 versus the 110 heat
index. Right. And it's, I talk to a lot of folks up north. I've got a pretty good base with folks racing up north with all this stuff. And we, I talk to them and they're like, holy shit, it was so hot today. It was 83. I'm like, 83?
Yeah.
I said, man, I was talking to a dude the other day. I'm like, it was 83 here at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
8 a.m. And the whole other part of that is the humidity, everything here, it's smoldering. I felt for you when, and I told you this, when you were going to Texana the other day, and you said you were going to be on that metal platform, standing out there, Dude, and the whole thing is you may have had a breeze coming across. And
a little bit, but it dies down at night.
The whole thing is, a lot of times these days, I'm like, I don't want the breeze because that just makes the shit worse. Because you get out there, and it kind of kicks up some dust or whatever may be going on. I mean, that's even worse, dude. And then it's just so hot. It's just so hot, and the problem for me is I just can't stop sweating. I sweat a lot. And I was actually concerned at one point. I'm like, I'm sweating too much, but I guess that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Sweating is good.
It's way too hot. And Nathan checking in, I think that's on the Race On feed. 70s to 80s guy. Yeah, man, me too. But, dude, those days have passed. That's in January around here.
Yeah. That's a hot minute away.
And
literally hot minute away.
I think about the times like when you go to Pensacola, for the Derby, and you're down there in December and it's like freezing cold and all that. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. What I wish that would happen around here, and this is not a weather show, but what I wish would happen around here is that we had that tropical element to where you would, like it is in Florida, to where you'd be here at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'd get a quarter inch of rain or just random stuff like that, because we really need that, because this is not good. This is not good for anything at this point, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, not good for anything. I mean, I think that we're in stage 3 water restrictions where we are. Problem is, I want to run my sprinkler system because they just brought in some AT&T fiber and dug up the front yard. So I want to run my sprinkler system to see if they did any damage to the sprinkler system, but I can't because I'm on water restriction.
Well, and
I may just say screw it and just run it just to see if there's any damage before the guys leave the neighborhood. I'd be like, hey, fix my shit.
Well, they'll find out. They'll find out. I've watered multiple times outside of the restrictions, and they seem to realize that on my bill. And I get that whole
hammer down.
Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, guys, stick around. Coming up, lots more. Justin Zimmerman is coming up. Shelby Williams, as we roll on after talking to the kid. That's a bad son of a gun right there, my man.
Yeah, we got to find something other than young gun for him. That's just not appropriate, right? Yeah. I guess at the race ranch, maybe a young gun at the race ranch, but we'll figure out something.
We'll come up with something. More coming up. You guys stick around. # Real Race Talk on your Monday, the original Monday show. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.
Phil Whipple here again with the Revved Up Sports Show. For over a year now, you've heard me talking about our valued partners over at Generation Race Cars. During the first half of this season, GRC built cars have visited Victory Lane on 20 occasions, driven by 6 different drivers. We're proud of their success and know more wins are ahead for them in the coming months. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built just like the ones driven by recent winners Alex Hickam, Jeff Shepard, Dean Abbey, and Kyle Wilkins. Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. When you're ready to join the winning team, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call at 817-528-2947. Take your racing program to Victory Lane with Team GRC.
You guys, Rodney Rodriguez from my friends at Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet in Brandon, Mississippi. A lot of folks looking for those GM crate engines, whether it be the 602, the 604, much sought after, whether it be on dirt or pavement, lots of different places that you can run those crate motors. My friends here at Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet GM Performance Parts, they're going to give you the best part or the best price that you're going to find in the country. Check out my man Ryan Polk, 601-824-5457, or hit up rpolk at rogersdabbs.com. Get in touch with him. Let him tell you how he's going to get those engines to you. I mean, take a look right there. I mean, they're in stock. They are on the shelf and ready to get to you. Sealed crate GM engines. You can scan that QR code, and I promise you, you are not going to beat that price. Best price in the country. Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet GM Performance Parts in Brandon, Mississippi. Check them out and tell me you heard about them right here on the Revved Up Sports Show.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Scientific data proves it. Size does matter. The bigger and wider your television is, the better. Football season is here, and the time is now to get your entire audio-video experience tuned up and ready. New flat screens, projection video, Dolby True HD surround, all the goodies at great prices and followed up with great service. So call us at 255-8678. That's 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here again with the Revved Up Sports Show. For over a year now, you've heard me talking about our valued partners over at Generation Race Cars. During the first half of this season, GRC built cars have visited Victory Lane on 20 occasions, driven by 6 different drivers. We're proud of their success and know more wins are ahead for them in the coming months. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built just like the ones driven by recent winners Alex Hickam, Jeff Shepard, Dean Abbey, and Kyle Wilkins. Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. When you're ready to join the winning team, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call at 817-528-2947. Take your racing program to Victory Lane with Team GRC.
All right, back here again on another wonderfully hot Monday evening here in the great state of Texas. This is indeed the Revved Up Sports Show. So good conversation so far with our man, the next big thing, Stephen Whitaker III.
Kind of cool that we know him now.
I know,
because it's one of those things. Hopefully he's going to be. I'm sure he will be. But hopefully, like all the rest, that don't forget us. You talked about Caden and Memphis Virial. I mean, these guys seem to remember us, and that's a very good thing.
Yeah, it's always a good thing when they kind of remember you, and hopefully that they don't forget when they become successful racers that we all want them to be.
That's right. I mean, that's all that we want for these folks. We want them to do really good things, and I think the sky's the limit for that young dude right there.
And I think it will be. I think there's no doubt about it. But he's got a good family base to pull from, one of the more famous racing families down there in Corpus area, down on the Gulf Coast. So I think all he's got to do is ask Dad. His dad's done a lot, been around a lot, knows a lot. Same thing with Grandpa. So plus the connections that Stevie has. Kid's he's going to be like a sponge. And I'm glad we caught him now before he starts playing football, baseball, and all that good stuff.
Yep, that's right. Hotline, second time tonight as we dive in. Another winner this past weekend, Saturday night, notching it there in the ASCS non-wing sprint cars. Just tremendous win, dominating win for our man on the hotline, Justin Zimmerman. Justin, how we doing, sir?
Oh, pretty good this evening.
Man, thank you so much for hopping on here. So let's talk about the weekend, man. You had a double header right there. You had there was a Waco race, and then there on Saturday, man. Saturday you were on the rail. Walk us through that big win this past weekend.
I don't know. We're just always pretty quick there at Devil's Bowl.
Yeah.
Definitely in the wing or non-wing car.
Yeah.
Didn't get to run Friday night. Had to work, but they had the track juiced up, and
Nice.
It was hammered down for sure.
Love it.
Justin, is there any ways you could put into words what it feels like to race one of these non-wing sprint cars on a big-ass half mile like Devil's Bowl? I mean, you guys got to go flat out almost the whole way around. Just hit the brake to set it and go, right? I mean, talk about racing Devil's Bowl. It's got to be an amazing feeling.
So Devil's Bowl is different. It's definitely not the biggest half mile I've ever been on, for sure. We were just up in Indiana at Terre Haute. That's a big half mile.
Yeah.
As far as Devil's Bowl, yeah, I mean, you can't floor the 410 non-wing car. It'll just pick the front end off the ground, which we were doing in the heat race and a couple times in the feature. But probably about 3/4 throttle is about all I could get out of it Saturday.
Wow.
But it's a good time. It's definitely got your adrenaline up and, tunnel vision a little bit sometimes, and just keeps putting you back in the seat. That motor that we got back finally, it's got probably about 870 to the ground, 860 to the ground. So it's plenty more than what I could use.
Damn. So Justin, talk about that part right there. I think folks don't realize that they do think a lot of times with the sprint car, it's just hammer down, put it to the floor, and just stand on it. But like you're talking about right there, man, there's lots of things you have to judge on these things. All of that horsepower, short wheelbase, man. You have to really be smart to drive this thing, because if you mess up, dude, it is Katie bar the door.
For sure. Yeah, it's a lot of money that gets broken. In this case, it's someone else's money that gets tore up. And, in my situation, that's the last thing I want to do is tear anything up that's not mine. One, they got to pay for it, and I got to put it back together. So, not good for both sides. But, yeah, you have to really, judge the track and know what the car is going to do and be confident in the car and yourself, and know when you can give it a little more throttle and when the tires are spinning, and just try to keep it all to the ground. There's no downforce on the non-wing car, so you definitely have to pedal it more than a wing car, and more or less turning it with the pedals. Wing car, it kind of does it itself almost sometimes.
So do you have experience running the sprint cars with the wings? I mean, are they more fun, less fun? It sounds like there's a lot more, I would say, driver ability to kind of factor in with the non-wing car. But I mean, I don't know. I don't have the testicular fortitude to get in either one of them. So, I don't know. I don't know how much it takes to race either one of those. So,
I enjoy the non-wing stuff so much more. It's just, you're really more depending on driving style, the setup, motor combination. The wing stuff is fun. You get in dirty air sometimes. When you're in dirty air and it's just a one groove track, it's not very fun. It's hard to get real close to somebody because they take all the wind off, the air off your wing, which upsets your car. And then, you can't pass safely. So then you're just kind of single file. Sprint cars need multiple grooves to be a good show in my eyes. If it's just, real slow around the tires, they are not fun to watch. They're not fun to drive. But once there's a few racing grooves, it's definitely the best show on the track, I think.
No doubt. So, Justin, talk about that. I mean, having driven, you were talking about, driving, outside of Texas, last week. So, is it, I know we talked to a lot of folks on the asphalt side to where it's like, the differences between the different regions right there. When you start racing outside of Texas, the thoughts on that? I mean, is it different driving styles outside of Texas, or is it just when you get into one of these cars, it's just hammer down and do what you have to do to get around the racetrack and find the grooves that you have to find?
I mean, I've spent several years up in Pennsylvania through the end of my high school and after my high school. I don't know, it's just a different breed. The fans, there's tons more fans up there. In Indiana, it's the same thing. It's just totally different breed of people. More fans. There's a lot more car owners, not just personal owners, in those areas. Everybody drives hard. There's people that are doing it for a living, so then they're always on their A game and driving hard. When we were up for Speed Week, my number one goal is just bring the car back in one piece, and just have some fun and make some laps and take some notes and hopefully get to go back up there. Because in my eyes, we were already behind the 8 ball. Never ran those tracks. Didn't know what gear to run. Didn't know really what setup that the track would like. And by the time, after the heat race, I would kind of have an idea. Well, I'm already in the B main or the back of the B, then trying to fight my way through the B to the A. And it was frustrating, but I'm glad I went. It was definitely a bucket list thing that we got to do. So I'm definitely thankful for that.
Yeah, we've noticed, like, when you have your Flow subscription, right, and you can watch racing every night of the week, it seems like they're racing when you turn it on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's either somewhere in Indiana, somewhere in Pennsylvania, some track kind of popping up. with that. So, have you noticed that when you run out of state, out of the Texas region, we talked about the different fan and different driver. Is it just so different that it makes it, what's the word? I don't want to say overcomplicated, but when you're racing against the pro drivers, does it add just that extra layer of I don't want to touch them because I don't want to mess up their day job, or I don't want to race them too hard? I know racers hate to say that they never want to race anybody hard, but I mean, is there a fine balance between that when you start racing the guys that are doing it for a living?
In their element, yes. That's how I felt when I was there. I was like, man, these people are putting food on their tables, feeding their kids this way. You know, I don't want to get in their way. So if, you know, there was a couple of nights that the car just didn't feel very good, so I just pulled in. Yeah. You know, I don't want to get in the way. I don't want to have them, you know, I don't want to be that guy that's, you know, causing them their points or whatever, just because, you know, I'm not feeling super comfortable with what I had, just because, you know, it was a new area, new everything for me. We just got that engine, we put a different car together, so there was a lot of unknown factors. I think whenever they come here, my theory will be kind of the same, but I'm comfortable down here. I know what like Devil's Bowl does. I have my baseline for there, so I'm gonna feel more raceable, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Justin, I mean, put me in the mind of a sprint car driver, because in my opinion, you know, I've raced, you know, I raced for many years, and the lack of respect seems to be missing. But when you guys are on the racetrack in those cars, I don't care if it's a wing or a non-wing, you have to be you have to be honed in on what's going on, because, like, you know, we talk about one slip up or one bad move, it is not good. Man, the reaction time, you don't have a lot of time to react, man. How do you program yourself to drive one of these missiles?
I think it's just, you know, laps.
Yeah.
The more laps you get, the more comfortable you get, the slower things get. So I find, you know, if I race multiple days in a row, more just settled, more focused, everything's easier, you know, you feel more comfortable. It's like sitting in a lounge chair, you know, belted in. So it's just like you sitting at your office, or you know what I mean?
Oh,
so,
yeah, totally.
I mean, whenever I used to play baseball in high school, you know, just keep swinging. It's all muscle memory. You know, your swing is going to get better. You're going to feel more comfortable. So I think it's just really laps and concentration. And that's probably the one time that I totally shut the world out, you know, and I'm just focused on that.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand that about me at the track. You know, it's kind of, I'm working. I'm not there to really joke around and, you know, get in the drama and all this stuff. So, I've heard that, you know, I'm the butthole, but just because I don't talk to anybody, but that's not the case.
It's totally good.
I'm just there to race, you know, and after the races is a different story. We'll get the moonshine out, we'll drink a little bit, and have a good time. But before and during, that's not me.
That's awesome.
So what's left on the table for you for 2023? You're going to go race out of state again? Are you going to try to kick some ass back in state some more? Or what's on tap for the rest of 2023 for you?
And this year, we don't even have a schedule together. We're just kind of looking at what's next and do we want to do it, and, you know, make sure all the family, you know, is good with it. And it's hard. I own my own little electrical service company, so I got to balance that and family and the racing. You know, I got to balance all this stuff. And I think my goal this year was not to race quite as much, do some more bigger stuff, like Indiana Sprint Week, and USAC's coming down here, and I think USAC's going to Red Dirt. I can't remember those dates, but just things like that is more or less something that we wanted to do this year. No points or no, racing every night or anything like that. So we love to race, but I think this year just a little different.
Yep, just get out there and have fun. And I can tell you what, race when you can and do what you did on Saturday night. And it's always worth it because you did. You dominated that race there at Devil's Bowl. Great job right there. Thank you for checking in, man. This has been a lot of fun, Justin. Keep digging and great conversation, man. I love the insight right here on the mind of a sprint car racer. It's totally different. I'm going to tell you. You guys are fucking crazy. That's the only way for me to put it.
Yeah, like I said, I got family in the back of my mind and all that. So if I don't think it's a good move, I'm definitely not going to take it. Or if the car's not right, I'm good with 10th place if it's a 10th place car. So
I love it. Good stuff, man. Good luck the rest of the year, my man, and we'll do this again, man. Thank you for taking the time to jump on here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Y'all have a good one.
You bet. Take care. There he goes. The one thing that I like that he was talking about right there is I know I'm the same way that he is, and that's where now when I get to race, it kind of affects me because I'm the same way. On race day, I don't want to be out there bullshitting around. I mean, I don't care if I'm going to finish last or first. I don't care to be out there being the life of the party and doing after. Absolutely. But man, I'm just I try to focus in and man,
I'm just the opposite.
No, man, not me.
I'm total opposite because if I did it any other way, got too serious, I get too damn nervous.
Oh well,
and then I'd overthink it and try to overdrive the car.
And I've had folks. I know that Howard Willis, by the way, the man that said it, that he was showing up to kick my ass. Which, by the way, August the 19th, you people need to go to 105 Speedway because that is going to be one hell of a.
2 weeks out.
Yeah. I don't care what happens on the track that night. He's probably going to win. But that right there, when we talk about racing reunions, I know we've done different things at different tracks around the state where we're having all these different things. 105, the Howard Willis 50th annual party. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, something 50th anniversary race or something. And it's a damn nice purse too. It's a hell of a nice purse there at 105 that night with Howard Willis. So,
well, somebody reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, you wanna do a little announcing?" I'm like, "No. If I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be a fan. I'm gonna wear my number 23 shirt. I'm gonna sit in the grandstands, have a beer, and watch my man because that is a celebration of a great dude." But what I was talking about right there was, Howard has come up to me both times that I've been a part of the different things with him, and even Lawrence, and they're like, "You're getting nervous. You seem nervous." I'm like, "I'm not nervous. I just leave me alone." I've always been like that. I mean, even when I raced, when nobody knew who the hell I was, it's like, just don't bother me. Don't bother me. Let me go take a piss about 4 or 5 times, and I'll be fine.
So maybe it's just the experience, because when I was racing, I was announcing. So I didn't get a lot of time to either decompress. I mean, luckily I had you to come up.
Oh, I never when I was announcing, dude. It was one of those things where it was always hard for me when I was doing that because it's like here I am over here doing all this other zany shit, and then I go down there and people come up and I'm like,
gotta go.
Yeah, I'm like just
see. I think maybe that's why I'm the exact opposite because you get the adrenaline rush. I'm not gonna lie. When you're an announcer and you control a crowd, it's an adrenaline rush.
It really is.
And then when you go into the car, or I'd run down probably a race early. I got lucky and had the Terry's Body Shop crew with me to help work on the car and help kind of basically get it set for me. So it was kind of like just get in, strap in, and go. But I don't think I got a chance to really. I guess I did it during practice, overthought a lot of stuff. That's why when I went to Friday night practice, it wasn't very good because of the fact I overthought it and tried to reinvent the wheel versus just getting in and going. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just not the way I'm wired. My personality. I don't feel the need to shut out the world to get ready for the race.
Oh, I did. I mean, I always wanted to. It was never a thing to where it's like just don't. I mean, the bad part for me was, especially in the latter years. Again, not that I'm done, but it was people always wanted to ask me something. It's like, hey, or and again, I love hearing stories. I mean, people wanted to tell me things, and I'm like, right now I can't take that in. Right now I need to figure out what I'm going to be doing, because for me it has always been a thing where I go back and I think about it. I mean, even my first days of racing, to where it's like when you had the lineup up on the whiteboard, where you're sitting there and you're like, okay, you're sitting there watching that and you're thinking, okay, who's in front of me, who's behind me, what's going to happen on the start, and you're sitting there trying to analyze that stuff. And I was never really at and I'm never really at peace when I'm racing until I'm in the car. And you know, it's always been, when people ask me, so what do you miss about racing? I'm like, I miss being in the car. I miss getting to sit in there, strap myself in the car, and that's when I'm at most peace. And it's only, you know, now that I'm older, now that we have all these fancy watches and all these different things, the last couple of times that I've raced, I've like monitored my heart rate, and it's like, okay, before the race, I'm like, my heart's like, I get in the car and it's like right back down to where it's supposed to be.
That's crazy.
And yeah, no, that's stupid. I mean, it's totally stupid the way that all works out. But everyone's different. Everyone's different. I mean, there are a lot of folks that like you're talking about. I mean, you wanna have a conversation. Not me. I don't want to talk to anybody at that point.
Maybe it is just. Of course, I only raced for 1 year and decided to retire after my good year. So
You know, it happened.
Yeah.
It happened.
One and done.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Hotline, final time tonight. And we were talking about Winners Weekend. We just talked to one winner, and now we're going back once again and talking to one of the badasses right here when we start talking about the stock cars. Welcoming to the show, it is our man, Shelby Williams. How we doing, brother?
Oh, pretty good.
Man, talk about the weekend, dude. Looked that looked like a lot of fun out at Kennedale, my man.
Yeah, I've been struggling last 2 or 3 months. You know, just trying new stuff, trying to get faster, and it's been going backwards, which that's part of it, you know. And so I've been trying a bunch of different stuff, and finally just kind of went back to the basics that I know. And at Rocket, I sucked in the heat race. The B main was decent, and I changed some more for the A main, and I was really good. But I started 15th, you know, because the heat race was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of bided my time in the first, that 20 lapper, and wasted half the race really just following people. And the second one I was a little more aggressive and finally worked out and got a win there. So I wanted to go back this week and see, you know, if I just got lucky one night or if I finally got the car back good. And went out there for the heat race and had fastest time in the heat race, and then started 6th and had a good race with Egbert and Branson and all them.
Yeah.
And finally got to the lead, and it was up after that.
That's it.
Yeah, I got to actually voice over a couple of your wins there when you ran that Twin 20 race there on Race on Texas. So got to see you go on with a really good field and pick up the W there. Talk about in terms of Kennedale. We're far away from Kennedale, but I mean, we've been to enough races at Kennedale where it's its own unique ecosystem, and the ecosystem up there, when you win at Kennedale, I mean, it's a big win because there's a lot of heavy hitters that go to Kennedale all the time.
Yeah, it's you know, the weekly deal is really tough around here because, you know, it's 110 outside, so the track's, it's hard to keep it racy, you know, without getting one lane or whatever. So it's really tough to start 10th or 12th and win one, you know. And I got lucky enough to start 6th. I think we only had like 14 or 15 cars. So, I mean, the starting position really helps out when the IMCA deal, you know, because they're all tough. You know, the slow guys ain't up front. They're all pretty good. So anybody can win at Kennedale, really.
Yeah. Shelby, let's talk about these cars. I mean, I've always said, I mean, watching the stock cars, I mean, to me, that is the coolest thing to sit out there and watch you guys. You mentioned some of the names right there. Talk about the level of competition in this shit. It's like, man, anytime that you win one of these things, you have beaten the best of the best around here.
Yeah, I think personally, and it may just because I'm in the class, but I think stock cars one of the most competitive all-around classes.
Yep.
You know, I feel like modifieds, the crate kind of screws them up, and it's not as good as it used to be.
Yep.
You know, whenever you're going through the pits and the stock car sounds better than modified, and they're supposed to be the premier class, you know, it just ain't right. But I don't know. I've always ran stock cars. I mean, it's fun. The competition's always there. and I feel like it's just the best class to be in.
I agree.
So, Shelby, talk about your car itself. We got a picture of it up on the Facebook feed and the YouTube feed. It doesn't look like the rest of those other stock cars from what I remember calling stock car races. Tell us about how your car's a little different there body-wise towards the back half.
Yeah, I'm all about being different. Like, anything I can do to stand out and be different is, what I want to do. And we bought a factory stock, my dad did, and it had that body on there. We got it from John and Betty McNeil.
Yeah.
And he thought it was kind of ugly. He's like, man, this ain't very cool. I can't do this. He's like, I'm putting a different body on it. So I was getting my new car being built at the time, and he went out of town one weekend, so I just cut the roof off of it and took it up north and had them put it on. So yeah, there was a couple around here, and it wasn't that popular, and nobody really thought anything about them or thought they were cool. And then I seen a couple years ago Elijah Zevenberg had one, and I thought it looked badass. I was like, man, I gotta have that.
Yeah.
So he had this body, so I put it on there, and now it seems like they're everywhere. So I'm getting a new car being built right now, and I'm putting a different body on it just because there's so many of them around here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love to call that the buttless cutlass every time that I'm up there announcing. Every time I see one of those. But so you mentioned factory stocks. I'd love your thoughts on that, because that's always a conversation right here that we have. And now, with the money, the big money races and all that, and guys doing all this, and guys and ladies that like to gravitate to the factory stock. Now with the KK tires and all this different stuff, your thoughts on that class? Because it's like, man, this was a really cool thing when it started, but shit, now it's all out of control.
Yeah, they cost just as much as a stock car, if not more. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing minus weight jacks and headers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't really like the 704 roll. I think they ought to always be on slicks. I don't race them, but I feel like that factory stock should just be on slicks. I feel like that's what equals the playing field a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple weeks ago, they had that King of the Hill with 10,000 win and Nils on the slicks, and he goes out there and wins, And so I've always said the more tires you can put on the track, the better it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're allowed to groove and all that on our stock cars now. But to me, when you groove the tire, you're taking rubber off the track, which is taking traction off the track. So I don't groove my tires. I don't do any of that. I just grind them, stop them, put them on. I want as much rubber on the track as I can get. And I don't feel like I've ever been outran because somebody grooved their tires, So I just try to keep all the rubber on the ground, and that's the same thing with the factory stocks. I've got some buddies that's got Eco Mods, which is like a sport mod, and they run the slick tires, and they set fast time every night in the mud. Slick, it don't matter, Their cars, they just work because there's so much more rubber on the track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Shelby, in terms of like the stock cars, it seems like they have been growing in popularity. One, because almost every track you go to, the racing is probably going to steal the show almost every night. And then number two, you have like these winter tours, like the sniper tour, the stuff that's coming in, and they get the IMCA TV stuff that everybody can watch when they're frozen up north and get to see you guys kick ass down here. Is that a right assumption? We just talked about the factory stocks getting all the money for some of these big time shows, but I mean, is the stock car the forgotten class where nobody wants to pony up a lot of money except for Waco for a big stock car show? I mean, where's the disconnect? Because the race is pretty damn good and entertaining with a stock car, but we don't have a lot of the big stock car high dollar shows.
Yeah, I feel like the stock cars put on a better show than the factory stocks, but there's just so many of them, and I don't know what it is, but like that Waco race, they had that 5,000 win a couple months ago. I think we had like 38 cars, and just nobody will come to the big money races. You pay big money, and the local guys won't race. It's like all the guys from Iowa and Nebraska, they all come down here, and then the 20, 40 local cars just sit at home. And so I don't know why that is, but it's like the more money they pay, the less the local guys want to show up. Yeah. So we'll have 10 or 15 local guys, and then everybody else is just the out-of-town guys that show up, and that's all we get. But the factory stocks, you put on a 5,000 win, and everybody in South America is going to, I don't know why that is, but they just, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out too. I mean, to me, but really, isn't that, Shelby, the cool thing with the stock car is that you can do this. I mean, we talk about it all the time with the IMCA rules and all this. You can. I mean, you talk about the popularity up north and all that shit, but man, you can take this thing and you can run wherever the hell you want to go, man. That and it's a conformed set of rules. I mean, doesn't matter if it's here, up north, whatever. That's the beauty of that class that affords you guys. If you want to, you're going on vacation. I'm gonna take my shit up there and I'm gonna go run up north.
Yeah, that's why I run IMCA. It's just because you can go anywhere. You know, they had a 3,000 win stock car race in, I think, Kansas this weekend at 81. But it's mix and match rules. You can run a spoiler. You can run this tire. You can weigh 100 pounds lighter than IMCA. You know, it's just a bunch of little shit, and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You know, if it's IMCA rules, you know, hey, I'm going to race with the guys that's on me. So the reason I stick to IMCA is just because there's tracks everywhere, and it's all the same rules. You don't have to change your car up a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So why do promoters do that, dude? Like you talk about adding spoilers and changing weights and all that stuff. When the formula for a stock car, an IMCA stock car, it works. Why the hell would people want to change that? What makes a promoter want to change the rules here and there just to add one or two cars?
Man, I really don't know. I've asked myself that over and over. You know, which I understand everybody can't just be IMCA stock cars. You know, we got to have different stuff, but 20 years ago, it was IMCA stock car, IMCA modified, hobby stock. You know, they had 4 or 5 classes, we had 30 cars in every class.
Yeah.
Now we've got 700 different classes, and we've got 10 cars in each class.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they need to go back to the smaller groups, you know, and have 4 or 5 classes. And then, I mean, you can pick out of one of them classes you'll be able to race, you know, and I just feel like there's too many classes and it's just strung out. So we just don't have the car count that we used to have.
Yeah, isn't that the bad part? Because the one thing that I get depressed about is, you know, when I see tracks struggling to get modifieds. I mean, it's like, you know, you get 4 or 5 modifieds and all this stuff, and there are so many different options. And in my opinion, the factory stock has been part of the problem because you know, go race for $10K to win or whatever it is. It kills me to see that the modifieds are kind of falling off a little bit, and hell, the limited modified, sport mod, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's falling off too, man. And to me, those are staples along with the Alls class with the stock cars.
Yeah, I don't know why the modifieds are going away. You know, I mean, up north there's no problem. So I don't know if it's just something that's down here. If it's the tracks, if it's the promoters, if it's the racers, I don't really know what that answer is. You know, why there's no cars here, but I know I don't have one because I work on my stock car.
Yeah.
If I'm not working, I'm working on that. And to me, it's my second job. It's not a hobby to me. It's a job. Like,
exactly.
I work on my car more than I do work. And, you know, modified the same way, but more. And then there's so much more stuff to them that I have no idea about. So, you know, that's the main reason I don't have one, because I don't know what I'm doing with it. You know, I'm not going to go out there and just look like an idiot and not know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's, you know, some of it because the technology has gotten so crazy, you know, with the load sticks, and you got to have they say they don't even scale them no more. They just put their load sticks on there and get this number and go to the track, you know, and, you know, the average racer can't do that.
That's right.
You know, so the 1st through 7th, 8th place are going to be there, you know, because they've got the money, they've got all the fancy equipment. But the guys from 10th to 20th ain't going to be there because they can't afford that. And they know they're not going to win, you know, and it's hard to go out there and have fun knowing you don't have a chance to win.
Yeah.
You know, I know some people go out there, you know, just to have fun and don't really care, just want to have a good time. And that's the guys that we need back in the sport, you know, and they're quitting just because it costs so much and the pay's the same it was back in 1990, but the car costs twice as much.
Yeah. So
it's just hard to go do this stuff. And that's why I don't race weekly a lot. I just try to do the bigger stuff. Because like this weekend, you know, you drive 3 hours to Kempdale, then it's $70 to get in, then you got race fuel, then you got diesel, and if you're lucky enough to win, it pays $400. But you've already spent that
You
before
burnt
you
that
even
up. Yeah.
racing. So yeah, I broke even this week, but 2nd through 14th lost money. So they got to have a reason to come back. And I've got a buddy that used to promote and stuff, and he comes up here all the time. We talk about it, and that's what we say is the racer is putting on the show. So I feel like the driver should get in free. Give them a reason to come to the races. But hey, I'm getting in free. It's not going to cost me nothing. And then he's going to bring his wife and kids, so they're going to make that money. And then they're going to the concession stand and all that. But if you don't have racers, you don't have a show. If you don't have a show, you don't have fans. So I don't know why racers pay to get in when we're putting on the show. NFL players don't pay to go play football. They get paid. So we had back at Grace County Speedway a couple years ago that Greg Cooper owned it, and he let the driver in free as long as if you went there the next week, you got in free. If you missed the night, you had to pay again to get in, and then you were in free the next. If you went the first night and you paid to get in, and you show up every single night, you only pay one time that year to get in the pit.
Damn.
And he had 150 cars every night. So, I mean, I know it costs a lot for them to work the track and all that, but they've got to get more cars there. The more cars they got, the more fans they got, and more people in the pit, and then they're going to make more money. So it's tough for everybody, really.
Yeah.
So what's left for you in 2023? You said you don't try to do the weekly stuff because it's a little too expensive, but you try to hit the big shows. What's on anything circled on the calendar between now and December?
Well, I've got like 40 races in the IMCA deal, so I've got 10 more, for my 50 for my points. So I've got 3 bad finishes for my 25, so I'm trying to get 3 more wins.
Yeah.
And then that'll kind of get about as much points as I can get, and then it'll just be 1 or 2 here and there or whatever. So I'm going to do some of the weekly stuff. Like I'm probably going to go to Boyd and then Ardmore this weekend. And then if I can get 3 wins, if not, then I just don't. But if I can, then I'm probably just going to, try to get ready for Boone and all that. And then that's probably, so far, that's all I know I'm going to do. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't really have much planned after that. So
Yep.
Probably just do Boone and then see if there's some big shows coming up. I do the Jordan Page at Ardmore every year just because it's on my birthday weekend.
Nice.
And then my good buddy Shane Hewitt's dad's birthday was around there and everything. So he passed away. So it's kind of, just one of them special races to me. My mom's birthday is the 7th, mine's the 9th. So I do that one every year I can just because of that. But I'm sure we'll do, if Kennedale has a big race or whatever, we'll probably go to that and just see from there.
Yes, sir.
So one last question before we cut you loose. I don't know if you caught the discussion right before we brought you on about the different mentalities of racers, where some guys basically, some people think they're assholes because they don't talk to anybody. They stick to themselves, try to get mentally prepared. And then you got the other guys that are complete opposites that are just chatty patties and don't just carefree, walking, talking, doing all that stuff. What kind of racer are you when it comes to that? Are you the chatty patty or are you the loner that wants to be by himself to get pumped up for a race?
Man, I really feel like I'm both. Whenever I go to the racetrack, I prefer to park by myself just because, when I'm there to win, and that's all I want to. And I had a good buddy, Shane Clement, was the same way. He shows up to the racetrack, everybody says he's a complete dick just because whenever he checks in until after the feature, he's there to win that feature.
That's right.
After the feature, he'll sit there and talk to you all night, sign autographs, whatever you want to do. And I'm not that extreme, but, when I'm there, I want to focus on the race and do all that. Now, I go out there and my car's good and I'm ready for the feature or something. I'll go hang out and talk, whatever. But, and if somebody comes to my pits, I always talk to them.
Sure.
I'm not just going to tell them F off or whatever. But, I'll sit there. That's like at Rocket the other night. I was working on my car and somebody come up and was needing help. I was in the middle of changing springs, so I stopped and helped them, and then I go back and I done forgot what I was doing, so I had to guess at that. And So, I try to help everybody I can. If they just want to talk or whatever, I'll just, tell them, hey, let me get done with this, when I'll talk to you or whatever. But then after the race, I'll stay in 3 hours if I need to and talk to people. And
That's right.
usually I try to keep the kids involved, because they're our future of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the kids wanting to come back, then the parents got to bring them because that's all they're going to talk about all week, and just keep them involved and just try to grow the sport as much as you can, because the old guys, they come down there and talk, they're not going to go racing.
That's right.
But the kids are going to grow up and be like, hey, I want to be like him. I want to race,
Yep.
So I try to do everything I can for the kids, more than the grown-ups, but I still talk to them too, they're just kids come first.
No, I totally get that. The best advice my dad gave me when I was driving full time, he's like, man, if you're going to be drinking beer after the race, if a kid comes up and wants an autograph, set that beer down and kind of take them off to the side and sign that thing. And B, talk to the kids. I mean, that's the most important part. So really, really good stuff right there. Dude, great weekend. Keep doing it, man. I love that race car. Your race car is one of my favorites every time I get to see you out on the track. Looking forward to the rest of the year, and man, we'll do this again, brother. I tell everybody that because we always bring everybody back on. Looking forward to doing this again.
All right, I sure do appreciate y'all, and thanks for what y'all do for the sport and all that.
Absolutely, man. Take care. We'll see you soon at one of these tracks.
Sounds good. Thank y'all.
You bet. There he goes. That's a badass right there. Shelby Williams. I love that car. That car is and that's where the thing is right there. I love what he was talking about right there because a lot of folks always talk about what's the difference between a factory stock and a stock car and what he was talking about with the weight jacks and all of that.
That's
right
what it's
there.
turning into. I mean, really.
Right. And the whole thing is, I mean, and that's where I go back to the factory stock when it's like, how are these cars so fast? I mean, the stock cars are blazing because of the shit he's talking about.
The weight jacks and a factory stock is a race car, but like if you think about,
it's a stock car. It's supposed to be a stock car,
but the factory or the stock car is the more of the racier of the two, and it should be because it's got weight jacks, it's got the rear ends and all that good shit.
But Shelby Williams is a bad son of a gun. That is all that is all I have to say. I mean, sitting here watching him, I've called some races of his at Waco, and I mean to sit and watch him get out there and race and talk to him right there and watch what he did this weekend. I mean that's one of those guys where man they're just that good, and he is one of those guys that really exemplifies to me the cool part about an IMCA stock car and that class. I mean, it's him, it's Jason Batt. I mean, it's dudes like them that's what they run. That is their class, and they do that really, really good. And I got to tell you something. I muted you. How about that? Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm back up. Yeah,
I love what he said right there about guys, tracks. Let the driver in for free.
It's an interesting concept.
It's $30.
Well,
I mean, I know $30 is $30.
$30 times 70. I mean, that's a lot of money that the track's missing out on.
Well, I mean, the whole thing.
But he's got a hell of a good point, though.
But how about this? I mean, the whole thing is like what Shelby's talking about right there. You spin this thing around because it's like the way we think. I mean, the way that we think as drivers. Like when you tell a driver, no entry fee. You don't have to, no entry fee to race this race, but you still pay a pit pass. But you don't have to, no entry fee. No, nothing. No pit pass, no nothing. Let them in. Just let them in. Man, that right there, I like that.
All right, so let's say if it's $35 for a pit pass, right?
Got your calculator up?
I got it.
Oh,
$35 for a pit pass. Let's be nice on the average and say there's 50 cars, right? That's $1,750 that the track loses out on. But the question is, if you don't pay that, do you gain more than 50 cars?
Well,
because now if you do, 35, we'll just be nice and say you gain 10 cars.
Math 101.
35 by 10, that's 350, right? So I mean, that's do you gain more money that way? I don't know. I like his idea. I just don't think you're going to see it with the modern day racetracks.
Well, I don't know. I mean, here's kind of my thought with that is like for some of the local divisions, I mean, whether it be like a mini stock or one of those, I mean, maybe you do that with that, because those are the ones where they're going to bring a lot of people. I mean, I know like at 37, a lot of folks show up to watch the sport compacts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you do that with the junior limiteds or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you try
It's like your entry level class is bringing a lot of people in the stands to watch the new people race. Then as you race a while, people don't care. And then as you get a higher end car, you need more crew, so you pay more crew with the higher end cars. So it's like a full circle of life.
Well, but the other part of that is where I think about. I've just kind of been thinking about everything that he was talking about right there. So let's think about this. So let's say that we're going to the track. Let's say that let's say that I have a stock car. Let's say that I'm IMCA stock car
All right,
driver.
I follow you.
I'm gonna drive. You're gonna be my crew man. You're gonna be my crew chief, and
Help you get in the car,
We're
all that
gonna
good stuff.
take some other friends. We're gonna take 4 people. You let me in for free. I go in for free, and you and the other 3 people, they're gonna pay.
You got to pay. Pit pass.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's a really interesting concept that he's talking about right there. But I love what he's talking about right there, because like he said, I mean the driver is the show. But this is where it can be another thing, to where if you're at the racetrack, it's like, okay, driver, you're getting in free, but your ass is going to go down there at intermission. You're going to sign autographs.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to talk to the announcer. You're going to do PR shit for the racetrack. Your $30 or 35 or whatever it costs, you're going to give that back. You're
going to earn it back.
Right. I mean, I like that.
Well, didn't Gina do that in Mobile for a little bit?
She did.
If they went out and did a promote or something
She did.
for her, she gave them a free pit pass.
She did, and that's a whole thing. And that's the funny thing is to where local racing is so. I mean, not local, but short track racing is so crazy to where it is. I mean, $30 or whatever it is can really make that impact on the back gate and all this stuff. But I really do like what he's saying right there, because I think that's pretty powerful, because it is. I mean, the driver, and again, that's another way to try to get people to show up. I mean, you're empowering the driver. It's like, all right, come on in for free. I mean, it's like a promo fee. I mean, just come on in, baby, take your coat off.
Yeah, but then if you let so many drivers in, get too many cars, you can't stop and do an autograph session. So there's that.
Well, that's a good problem to have. That's where you can adjust.
That's a damn good problem to have, actually.
That's a really good problem to have. So, great conversation right there. I mean, this whole show has been good with Stephen Whitaker III. I mean, that's going to be. I mean, that's the next. Caden Honeycutt. I mean, that's the guys.
So far, he's won in everything he's been in. So.
Yeah, he sure has. He whipped my ass. I mean, that's not saying much. But Justin Zimmerman winning there with the wingless sprint cars, and the conversation there where he's talking about dirty air and those cars sitting down and all that. It's so funny. I talked to a lot of people to where when they ask me about short track racing, they're like, so aerodynamics and aero, none of that really matters in short track racing, right? I'm like, oh, no. It really does.
It really does, especially in those cars.
And right there, Shelby Williams. And we got another big weekend coming up. I'll be at the race ranch. That's going to be a lot of fun. You got racetracks happening everywhere. Cotton Bowl.
I'm actually going to be at Cotton Bowl. Probably not going to be announcing.
Boom.
That's Milton's house. But
well, you could always go knock on his door and say, hey.
I'm going to knock on the door and say hello. Just,
you could always knock on the door and say, hey, man.
H and Marianne are like family as long as we've known them. So
That's right. Just knock on the door. Hell, just go take the mic from him.
Maybe I can participate in the pre-race show.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That could be the thing right there. I like that idea.
Maybe.
It's a very good thing. All right, guys, we got to go. Great show. We're heading up to the 8 o'clock hour. Thank you, everyone, for checking in. Once again, lots of folks liking the Monday show.
Yeah.
Damn time. Where the fuck you been all this time?
No kidding.
That's right. All right, we'll do it again next Monday. We look forward to seeing you at one of these racetracks, and just go find a track. Just go find a racetrack, be a part of it, and if you can't get to a racetrack in Texas, check it out on Race on Texas or Racing America or Flow Sports, whatever the hell. We're gone. We'll see you guys next Monday.